Hello everyone, my name is Jason Coles. This is my semester project for Safety 787, and I would like to discuss with you briefly um, hand injuries as it relates to my current workplace. Currently, I work as an EHS manager for a plastic manufacturer. So here's some of the statistics. I have been employed with this company for only 5 months, but in those 5 months, you can see that we've already had eight hand injuries. Um, the most common are lacerations and pinches, but as you can see from the bar chart here, that hand injuries are a systemic problem where I work. I spent quite a bit of time combing through the data when I first got hired to identify where our greatest risks were, and it was no doubt that it was hands. As you can see, um, 23 hand injuries in 2021, three of which were reportable injuries. We had 27 hand injuries, um, with four of those being reportable in 2022, and then the eight that we've experienced so far this year, with knock on wood, and none of them have been reportable injuries. So some of the common hazards that our employees are dealing with every day is the picture on the left is we have runners, as you can see, the stringy things on the inside. Those are actually very quite sharp, and sometimes they get jammed in our machines. So the employees have to go in there and reach and get them out. When that happens, they are often punctured or cut by the runners. Again, they're very sharp. We also have quite a few rotating parts, as you can see in the second picture, and that's another hazard that has caused quite a few pinches for us. And then we also have, here you can see on the right, caps. That's what we make, and often these caps get jammed in the machines, and it is common that there's some residual energy, and then when the cap is dislodged, they are pinched in the finger by that residual energy. So one of the first things I did when I came in as the EHS manager was I did a gap analysis, and this is what I found. Um, Training is very poor to almost, you could call it non-existent. The safety training is very minimal, and nothing in that training specifically calls out any kind of hand injuries or laceration potential. And then we also only offer very limited hands-on training to our operators that are doing these tasks every day. They come in and they get about a half a day of coaching on the shop floor, and then they are off to the races, and they are the ones that are accounting for most of our hand injuries. Machine hazards. We do have our machines labeled for lacerations and pinch points, though they are just on the guarding on the outside of the machine. We don't specifically call it out in the areas in the machine where the operators are supposed to put their hands. Personal protective equipment. There is no glove requirement when working with specific machines. There are a few glove and PPE requirements, but unfortunately, the culture needs to get some work done, and the PPE standard is just not enforced most of the time. And then hierarchy of controls. With all the injuries that we have, it seems like the common fix to them are administrative, coaching, training, things like that. Very few efforts to eliminate or engineer or substitute any kind of these hazards out. So what am I going to do about this, right? So number one is our training. We are in the process of hiring a new training coordinator. Um, we are going to revamp the onboarding training to include specific on-the-job, hands-on training for at least a day, maybe a day and a half. We're still working that out. And then we are also going to do machine-specific training for these operators, so they're not having to operate 6 or 7 machines, or if they are, they're going to get specifically trained on the hazards of each of those. Hazard identification. So this is the project that I started, and that I have an intern that's working diligently on. We're doing job hazard analysis on all of our machines. And then once that's complete, we are labeling the specific pinch points on the machines. So when the operators do have to go in and begin their work to clear jams or do the minor servicing, these pinch points or laceration points are going to be specifically called out on the machines. We are also evaluating the machines that do hold residual energy and whether or not lockout tagout should be required for those specific instances. We're striving for elimination and substitution here on the hierarchy of controls. I have had some limited success in this. We had a hand laceration a few weeks ago, and we were able to engineer a new handle for the machine that completely takes the operator's hands out of the line of fire. So we effectively eliminated the hazard for them. So that was a huge win for us, and since that laceration had occurred, we have had none other. And we actually had multiple of these in one day when I first started. Personal protective equipment. Again, we don't ever want to, as safety professionals, just throw PPE at things. But there is a huge need for cut-resistant gloves for our operators when they're going in and they're doing these tasks. We are in the process right now of trialing cut-resistant gloves. I believe that it is important to pick PPE that the employees don't mind wearing or works for them. Their buy-in is going to be quite a bit easier. So we're in the process of finding the right cut-resistant gloves that are going to work for us. And then it will be 100% cut-resistant gloves when you're inside of our equipment at all times. And we will be enforcing it. So how are we going to measure our results, right? So we are going to be looking at our KPIs. Hopefully, once all of this is implemented, we will see an immediate reduction in our hand injuries, pinches, and lacerations. But we should easily be able to look back at our KPIs this time next year and see a pretty steep drop in the hand injuries that we have been dealing with once all of this is implemented. That's it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Take care.